What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kofi Kingston, aka 1/3 of the New Day. You're not gonna say it with me, sir? Yeah, come on, you better participate. Let's try it again. 1/3 of the New Day, and you are watching The Young and the Wrestlers. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culture's WWE podcast, a show that takes a look at the soap opera nature of the WWE, the characters, the storylines. At its essence, we just mark out. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Betson, alongside.
I have flair, but don't call me Charlotte, because I'm Jem.
This is our WWE in review, and it comes at you every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, you can head to facebook.com/group/the Pop Culture, as well as our merchandise store, popculture.com. Wait, I've completely cut all of it there. Let's try that again. Facebook.com/group/Pop Culture, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, all those links are in the down below area. If you want to join the show as it happens, you can head over to twitch.tv/the Pop Culture, where you can watch us record this show live. If you want to support the show, you can tell your friends, tell your family about this wrestling pod. If you want a podcast service, just prefer to get a 5-star rating and a written review. Or if you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support the show financially, you can. Patreon.com/the Pop Culture, as well as our merchandise store, popculture.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. It's post Rumbaroo, Jem.
It is. Wow.
One of the biggest nights of the year for the wrestling calendar. And it's like done now. It's like you get that weird feeling.
Yeah, even though this year there was no crowd, it was still a pop fest.
Yeah.
I lost, like, there's nostalgia out the wazoo. For anybody who has me on Twitter, I was live tweeting my reactions. I have a big thread, so you can read everything I posted regarding the Rumbaroo. Yeah, thankfully it's all in one thread as well, so you don't have to go searching through different posts. Even though it wasn't what it was last year, it was still a huge pop. Like, for instance, Edge. I did not know that Edge was going to be number one, and Edge took out the whole Rumble. Like,
that he did.
Absolutely mind blown, which was phenomenal. And then we saw the return of the likes of, like, we saw Victoria wrestling, like old school divas that I love. Tori Wilson, we predicted, obviously.
Jillian.
Who else? Yeah, Jillian Hall. Oh my God. Like, I was like, does anybody else remember when she had that thing on her face and the boogeyman ate it off? Like, oh man. And Jillian was there and she teamed up with Billy and Jilly. That was great. And then we saw a little Iconics moment, which really made me pop. I went crazy. And then Rhea Ripley just destroying the whole thing. And props to Bianca Belair. What a beautiful win. And then, Carlito returned. And Carlito is looking the most jacked he has ever looked in his life. He had never looked that good in his prime. So clearly this is his prime. I'm like, I lost my mind. I was like, bruh, Carlito. Like, oh man, what an amazing event. Like, sure, the cards are against them in regards to the whole pandemic and stuff like that, but they really did make an amazing show of it. Seth Rollins returned. Seth is back. Like, how good is that? And my God, he beat the shit out of Matt Riddle. Becoming a dad has made him see some things, apparently. But yeah, oh wow. What, if you haven't watched it, watch the Royal Rumble. It's always a good one. I found the Rumble is always a good bloody time.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hear my thoughts about the Royal Rumble, you can. I recorded a review episode with a good friend of the show, Josh Robertson, 00.
Yeah,
it was an absolute blast. But it's funny how you mentioned, like, their chips are against them because of the pandemic. I almost feel the opposite. Like, because I wasn't distracted by crowds. I forgot that there were screens. Like, for me, it was just watching the show. Like, I completely ignored those screens. I was just focusing on what happened in the ring. And the Mullet Show has just resubscribed with a tier 1 sub for his 35th month.
Wowza. Thank you.
Damn. It's almost 3 years of subs. Thank you so much.
Crazy.
Yeah, so like I
Drew
just kind of
McIntyre
forgot
and Goldberg?
to enjoy it. Yeah, it was fine.
That was so good. Like, in the respect that, like, obviously the first thing I said was, oh, God, let's hope he doesn't botch this as bad as he did the Undertaker match. I mean, you know, somebody made a mention of the whole jackhammer there, but, like, Drew McIntyre's a heavy guy. Anybody would struggle. But phenomenal display of respect at the end of that match. Absolutely beautiful. As suspected, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler took the titles again in the kickoff show, thanks to Ric Flair and Lacey Evans. Beautiful. Just watch it. Just watch it.
It was very, very good. Like in hindsight, I'm like, I think I might go watch it again.
You know what? I'm probably going to rewatch it too.
Yeah. I'm going to at least rewatch the women. The women Rumble was fantastic.
It was so good. Oh, look, I honestly will probably watch the men's again, and I will probably pop just as big seeing Carlito come out.
What about Christian,
Seth.
though?
I cried.
Yeah. How about that big old hug they did in the middle?
Stop. I bawled my eyes out like a baby. I was like, oh my God. Obviously, this is huge nostalgia for me. So, like, I see Christian come out, and I was just like, gobsmacked. And then they get in the ring, and then they cuddle, and I was just like, a baby. I was inconsolable. Like, this is what makes me love the WWE so much, is how much they love one another. And it really shows. Obviously, they spend the most of their life with each other. Like, you spend more like of your life at work than with your family. And this is next level. And you can just see the passion and the love and the excitement for both of them. And got me.
Yes,
Right.
as I was saying, as I said in the show last night with Josh on our review for the Rumble, like even though Edge and Christian weren't my time, like my time is now. Is like now, so I don't have that connection.
Your time is up. Your time is now.
However, for me, I can still feel that empathy. I can feel that emotion. You know, because it's like it's a circumstance of both these gentlemen were told they were done.
Yeah.
And they've both been able to be like, fuck that.
Yards.
We're gonna be back in the ring together.
Yep.
As Josh said, they've been friends since they were 6 years old.
Yeah.
Their entire life dream had to be wrestlers, and they did it, and they smashed it, and then they got told they couldn't, and now they're like, fuck you, and they're doing it again. And if they decide to go out, they can on their own terms.
Yeah.
They
which we saw.
can choose when they retire.
And we saw some things on Raw that that's definitely sort of solidifying that they're going out on their own terms.
It certainly can. Well, let's jump straight into that. Oh, actually, before we do that, the mullet does mention it is the second best hug of the night, which was the hug of Team Hell No.
Oh,
yeah. Kane comes out, and then Daniel Bryan, they're like, yeah.
I
and they
forgot
hug it
about
out.
that.
Yeah,
I
really enjoyed
forgot about
that.
that.
Because Kane's like, there's all this hype about Dolph Ziggler possibly beating Kane, and then he comes out and just fucking yeets Dolph Ziggler. That's so good.
I know. And I wasn't expecting that either, because there was like, oh no, like he's got other priorities and other shit to do. And then all of a sudden he was there. I was like, yes.
It was fantastic. Jem, where do you want to kick things off with? Raw.
I think we should probably start.
Actually, fuck it. Let's just start with what the title of this episode is called.
Yes.
Let's not bury any leads here. Let's not do some sneaky clickbait shit. The title of this episode is 2 NXT call-ups are happening. Yes. Now, one of them we did see on TV tonight. The other we have not. Let's click on the one that we have not. So, all sources are indicating that the Rumble circumstance of the Rumble appearance, of Rhea Ripley is her sign of coming to the main roster. It is happening. As of right now, it is unsure where she is going to go, whether it be Raw, whether it be SmackDown. So she did not appear in Raw this week, and currently she's not announced to be anything on SmackDown. But let's talk about that, Jem. How do you feel about the Rippers? I'm going to call her Rippers. What do you feel
call her Rippers.
What do you feel about Rippers and like her coming to main?
I am absolutely hyped for it. Obviously, we saw last year and this year again, like the phenomenal performance in the Royal Rumble. Like it came down to Belair and Rippers. And honestly, the only reason I think Belair took it was because Belair's already in the main roster. And not just that, Belair has proved that she is the strongest, the fastest, the bestest. She lasted the longest. She's the winnerest. Which I'm hyped about, don't get me wrong, absolutely phenomenal. I think you know, I think this could lead into something amazing. I definitely think that Belair is going to end up with a championship, and I think Rippers is going to take it off her.
Ooh.
Because I think that's the perfect showcase of NXT stars who did phenomenal NXT, moving to the main roster and just upgrading that to the next level. I think that's the perfect thing to do, is take something that you know is good and bring it to that main roster and let it shine so that it can be seen by the millions and millions.
Yeah, or no, it's just the million mostly these days. However, you know, but for me, I agree. I think having Rippers come up to the main it's about time. Like for the last year at NXT, she hadn't really done a whole lot comparatively. Coming into WrestleMania last year, she was on fire. Absolutely. And this is just the same. Like, it's a repeat. Like, that fire hasn't fizzled, and it's clear. Like, but I mean, on NXT, her recent storylines have not been as interesting as they were heading into WrestleMania last year. So losing the title to Charlotte did kind of drop a bit of momentum, but then because the plan then was to transition that belt to Io, and Io has done good things with it. I think she still has it right now. I don't recall, but it's a circumstance of, I think they were just waiting, finding the right time to bring her up. And if there wasn't a pandemic, I guarantee she would have been up earlier. So having her not just be the MVP here with the 7 eliminations, it's just demonstrating that she is a force to be reckoned with, and she's coming in at second as well. And what, as I discussed in the review show, is that I loved that it ended on 2 new women, 2 new future stars, 2 new future fucking champions.
Definitely.
So I disagree with you in terms of her going for Belair's title. Because I see her going to Raw probably next week, and what that'll mean is where the belt will transition from Asuka to Charlotte, probably at Chamber or around about there. Then we have Charlotte carry it to Mania, and in the meantime, Ripley just kind of jobs out a bunch of people, just wrecks them, squashes them, and then she goes, "I want a title shot," and they're like, "Well, yeah, you took me on at Mania last year. Fuck it, why not?"
Yeah,
boom, you're Raw Women's Champion.
I like the sound of that.
It's a big leap her to get a big win on Charlotte so fast. But we were discussing it as well. Like, Charlotte is a boss fight. She's the same level of boss fight that Brock Lesnar is. Like, when you think you're done, he's back and he's bigger and stronger and he's like some sort of mountain. That is essentially what what Charlotte is becoming. Kicking out at one and all this sort of stuff, and just being.
Oh, her athleticism recently is phenomenal too. Like the match that she had on Raw, and just like she's doing a lot of flippy, like more consistently doing more flippy shit and stuff now. So she's definitely proving that she is more and more of a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
So I think by having her be that strength and then come to Mania when that does happen and it switches. Awesome, because Charlotte and Lacey is gonna wrap up very, very soon. Because I don't see it going for a long time, but we'll discuss that shortly, because there is a second NXT call-up that officially happened this week, and that is Damian Priest. The Archer of Infamy has finally come to Maine. Now, he has been rumored about for the longest time about him making his way up, and they're sort of finding ways to bring him in and tie it into a story. But no, he is on Raw now. He is currently working with The Miz and Bad Bunny. Which is interesting. Run us through that, Jem.
Well, we saw it at Rumble. Obviously, the Miz and Morrison made their way up to Bad Bunny's dressing room and wanted to talk music with him, which didn't go down too well. I think the best part about it was the Miz standing there, like, talking shit about Booker T, with Booker T standing right behind me, and Booker T's like, "Tell me you did not say that." And the Miz is like, "Oh, he said it," and walks away. Best. That was the best. But ultimately, it led to Okay, so Miz and Morrison were in the Royal Rumble match. Damian Priest was in the match as well. And Bad Bunny had come down and caused a distraction, which ultimately got Miz and Morrison eliminated by Damian Priest. On Raw, we see that Damian Priest and Bad Bunny are very clearly mates. Bad Bunny gets...
Or as Tom Colohue put it, Bad Bunny buddies.
Bunny buddies. So Miz TV happens. Bad Bunny's the guest. They're like, look, we know that you want to be a wrestler, as everybody does. Bad Bunny's like, yeah. And they're like, well, the Miz is like, I've been a mentor to this person, this person, this person. I can make you something special. All that we ask is that you help us record an album. And they try and spit some lines, which he's not interested in. And also they apologize about smashing up his thing. Yeah, because Miz went out there with the briefcase and just smashed up the DJ kit and pissed Bunny off real bad, which led on to all of this. And then Bad Bunny goes, look, I'm not interested. The only reason I'm here is because my friend wants to be, and calls out Damian Priest, who comes down, just smashes the Miz and John Morrison, which leads to a match, which at the hands, like Morrison at one point tries to get Miz to use the briefcase on Damian Priest. Bad Bunny nicks it, clocks Morrison with a microphone, and Damian Priest gets the 1, 2, 3 of a move called the Reckoning, I believe.
Sounds right.
So that was awesome to see. I think it solidifies, like, obviously Damian Priest did a phenomenal job in the Rumble, and it really solidifies his call up for sure. And I'm excited to see what else the guy can do. I mean, later in the night, Edge walks past him, shakes his hands and says, like, welcome to the main roster, dude. We need more guys like you. And it's just like, whoa, like that's a huge...
Yeah, he got a big rub from Edge, which was nice. But yeah, it's spot on. I even though I'm come to realize that I am old, and that comes with this Bad Bunny guy. I'm like, his music isn't very good. His performance was also not very good. But then it's a circumstance of I don't think it's for me. And then having him involved in the storyline here is I don't know who it's for. Like, once again, I say because he is a Spanish artist, so I presume he's very prominent in the US. So within that demo. Also, thank you, Hoodmark, for the follow. Thank you. I presume that he's popular within that circle, which is not a circle here in Australia. So it's not for us. Nor would they ever market explicitly for Australia. They don't do that all that often. But it didn't land for me. Musically, it doesn't land for me. So even then, in a story perspective, I don't know about
you, but they're calling up rippers. I think they're definitely we're getting some sweet Aussie reps with rippers. As we said, in the Rumbaroo, we had like 4 women in the ring at one time. They're all Australian. So when Tony is technically a Kiwi.
Yeah. So when Anzacs, we'll go with that. So when Ripley came in, there was Tony, Billy, Peyton, Rippers. There was, and then Dakota Kai came out as well a little bit later.
Did too.
I did put Tony in there. So either way, like there was a window of time where a third, like at 14, when Rippers came out, there were 14 people in the ring, 4 of them, sorry. So we were literally at or pretty much a third of the roster. Third of the women in that ring were Aussies.
Yeah. Amazing. Loved it.
That's mad.
Yeah. And for years, I was like, I just want to see some, like as a kid, I always wanted to see an Australian in the ring. And it's finally being given to me, and I love it.
And it's women, which makes you even happier.
Even better.
Like, because right now, in terms of Aussies, we've got, obviously, Bronson Reed at NXT. And then there's Indy at NXT as well. She's not coming up just yet, but, there is that presence there. We got Bronson Reed at NXT. We got old Buddy up in Maine. There's not a lot of... Oh, and there's, like, Shane Thorne. I guess he's technically... Yeah, he's Australian, but he's technically not Shane Thorne. He's in fucking... Wasn't he supposed to be in? He is. He's in Retribution. Yeah. There are Aussies there, but they're not having the same prominence that the women are having right now, and that's so dope.
Shane Thorne Slapjack.
I think it's.
That sounds like it.
I think it's Macpaca.
Tom Blue Blues, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been Tom Blue. I'm not too sure, but So I don't know about this whole storyline about Bad Bunny. I don't know why it's there. I feel that Damian Priest could do it without it. So I'm unsure why he's being connected to Damian Priest. Like, in terms of maybe they just didn't have anything. Maybe that's what it is. 'Cause,
Yeah.
maybe they are actually bros, and then there's something here. For here in this show, we take the kayfabe in and we have fun with it. However, I can't work out that connection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one for sure.
Priest coming in and having Miz as his first feud, dope. Miz is great. Miz is a great performer, and he'll put him over.
Yep, for sure. And winning his debut match, perfect. It's exactly what you want to see. Love to see it.
Yeah, as you said, he comes in and he just sucker punches Miz, and then they have it. Then they cut to ad break and they have a match. Amazing, I love it.
Yep.
And it went as expected. He got the win, which is kind of what you want on your debut. It makes complete sense.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So no, nothing mad there at all. Very happy with that. Apart from the Bad Bunny stuff confusing me. Mad.
I'm not going to talk much about this. I just want to come back to it as well. Obviously, with debuts and then people coming back, obviously we're seeing a return of Carlito, it seems. Looking jacked as hell. Match was Jeff Hardy and Carlito versus Elias and Jackson Ryder. Obviously, this is going to stoke some nostalgia for me because we've seen, feuds with Jeff Hardy and Carlito. That was cool. It was a fun little filler match, but I hope if Carlito's coming back, they're going to do something bigger with him. But I obviously just wanted to mention that.
So apparently, according to PW Insider, Carlito has not signed with the WWE, but with the exception that it is just a formality. He's currently receiving a lot of praise for his work and the shape he returned into the company at the Rumble. So he's expected back in terms of a maybe not a full-time space, but at least
I'd love to see him around
for
every
a
now
while.
and then. I mean, the dude's up at 480 pounds. He's looking jacked as hell.
There's no way he's 480. 480, he's huge, actual huge. He's not 480.
What were they saying then?
I don't remember, but he's large.
Let me have a look.
But he's not that large. He'd be 200 and something.
Maybe. Oh, maybe 280.
Yeah, 280 makes a bunch more sense.
Let's have a look.
Either way.
Anyway, but I'm excited to see that. He's a bit of fun. No complaints. Oh, billed at 240. There we go.
240 there, yeah.
240. That's my bad. That's why I got the 4 mixed up. Yeah, but absolutely jacked. He never looked that good in his prime, so all power to him. That's one thing I've noticed about a lot of the people returning is these days they're just looking more and more jacked. And I think, superstars these days are more jacked than they were notoriously back in the day. So it's really it's really putting the old guys to the test.
I think it's a different kind of jacked. So if you go back into the 80s and whatnot and the early 90s, you see jacked dudes, but they are assisted jacked dudes. Where anyone that is here is at least presumably it's probably nutrition, it's better sports science, it's all those things that are helping them get better and bigger.
Things that you didn't have back then.
But where back then it was just just take a bunch of roids and then bust your ass real hard.
Yeah, exactly right. We did see, obviously, speaking of Retribution earlier, we did see another little match with Xavier Woods, this time versing Mustafa Ali. So Woods did get eliminated by Mustafa in the Rumble, to which Big E then eliminated Mustafa for Woods. So Kofi Kingston returned tonight to be in Woods' corner and helped Woods get the win, basically. Mustafa spent most of his time taunting Kofi Kingston. Kofi did this sick, he jumped on the stairs, jumped on one of the Retribution shoulders to take out the other Retribution member, and then taunted the one still standing to distract Mustafa for Woods to get the win, which was, you love to see it. After all the shit he's been through the last couple of weeks, you love to see it.
So one thing we'll touch upon as well. So in Raw Talk this week, Xavier Woods, he was like, I want Reckoning. I want to fight Reckoning. Bring her out and I will fight her. Give her to...
Yes,
it is a dope promo. And I'm going to put it out there. We talked about it last week. Intergender wrestling is going to return at WWE.
Bring it on.
And the idea of Mia Yim versus Xavier Woods, fuck yeah, why not? Granted, she's got a fucking mouthful of COVID right now, but apart from that, when she comes back and she's better, I believe that'll be amazing.
I'm down for it.
Because we were discussing this once again with Josh Robinson about because we went to the local wrestling show this weekend. And we saw GCW, and they had their own 30-person rumble. And in there was a woman, and she came in and held her own. And she took fucking chairs, she took kendos, she got choked. Either way. But she was heavily involved. And
she got hit with a kendo.
There were parts of me
Misfortune.
Misfortune was her name. Now, part of me did feel a little uncomfortable with it, but not in like it was like she's got kendo to the face. So
but in saying that, she did hold her own as well. Like she got a hold of that kendo stick and she let rip, and it really solidifies that the girls can play with the boys. Yeah, so discussing this was around the idea of I think it has a lot to say. I think it can demonstrate, like that idea of competition between men and women, and people that identify as men and women. I say that because one of the big discussion pieces right now is around transgender competitors. And I think in WWE they have an ability to demonstrate that no matter what gender you are, or you make that choice, whichever gender you choose to be, or which you discover that you are, you can be engaged in wrestling. Exactly. Because when you talk about like the biggest hurdle is all men coming into women's sports and whatever, which tends to be the big concern here. Where here, this is a great way to show that. It's a great way to show equality and consent and the respect between the sexes and stuff like that, and that's awesome. I think there's a potential for some really cool shit if they bring in intergender. I mean, in the Rumble, we saw Alicia Fox take on R-Truth for his title. There's another point. It's fucking happening. It's happening, and I'm down for it. And I think that was a really good place to sort of start to push it as well, was with, so many females like knocking people off for the 24/7 title, male or female. It was, I think they could really use that again to push that too and bring it more to light. But at the same time, they're not doing much with the 24/7 championship, so they could probably use this as a crutch to bring it through. I think, I reckon a good place to start would be to start with, R-Truth facing female superstars, because that's the sort of mid-card range. That's the level that they're going to come in at. So I think that would be perfect. Yeah, and I think R-Truth is, as he's a pretty good worker, I think that he would be able to get involved in that and do those matches in a good, safe way. Oh, he'd definitely do them justice. And it would be kind of comedic as well, so it would take a lot of the initial sting out of it. And exactly then, and then in, pardon me, a couple months, we might to see fucking Seth Rollins versus Rippers, Which would be mad. Oh, I just picked two names. Then that would be Rollins v Rippers would be amazing. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And I think it could get there, and why not? Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, let's have another talk about nothing that didn't really make any sense and doesn't really matter to the storyline. We did see another Hurt Business, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander versus the Lucha House Party. There's still a bit of animosity in that group, and it seems to be growing. Obviously, Cedric Alexander was about to get the win, and Benjamin tagged himself in and took it off him. MVP tried to play it off as, siblings fight. That's just what siblings do. But earlier in the night, we did see Matt Riddle finally take on Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship, which he won the right to last week. And Lashley gets DQ'd. So by holding Riddle in a hurt lock while having him draped over the top rope, it did force a DQ, even though Riddle did tap, but after the bell was rang. He tapped after the bell, yeah. So, okay. But the real question here is, Jem, are we going to see a rematch here without, obviously, no champion's advantage? Look, I think we'd have to. It was technically a DQ finish, so there is no champion's advantage. Apparently, MVP said to him, I want you to unleash Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley looked like he was going to take out MVP. And MVP is screaming at him bro, do you want a court case? Stop. And, at the end of it, Riddle might have been concussed or something, because you see all the officials around him, and he's like, what happened? He's like, who was I fighting? They're like, Bobby Lashley. And he tries to get back up and like, no. And he's like, what happened? So it looks like Riddle's probably still on the hunt for that belt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a fair finish. So I think Riddle will definitely have the opportunity to have a rematch. But I don't know, the storyline's just fallen flat for me.
Yeah, like
I think the best part was when MVP said, "I'm not your bro," and Riddle went, "Oh,"
yeah.
and that's the best part of the storyline.
It 100% peaked at the.
That's where it peaked.
But like there's a lot. Like I do. Does this end with Riddle getting the title? I personally hope
I don't think so.
But I don't think so.
I hope so, but I don't think so. Yeah.
Because on top of that, we did see the Lucha House Party take on the Street Profits. What the fuck? Take on
Cedric
the Hurt
and,
Business, Cedric and Shelton for the title. Was it for the titles or just a match? No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for the titles. I want to lift the kayfabe screen for a second. My God, what a botch fest! Shelton Benjamin did amazing with what he was given. Granted. But the Lucha House Party they need some refining really bad. Like, I was so scared that somebody was going to get genuinely hurt in that match. And it was going to be Shelton Benjamin because he was taking the brunt of catching the Lucha House Party and them, like, fumbling on him. So, like, props to him for, like, not dying in that match. But, oh, God, just be gone with the Lucha House Party. I'm done with them.
Yeah, and like I have really no investment in this story. I say into this match specifically because I was pretty confident that LHP were going to lose. I didn't see them,
of course,
because there's nothing there to really for me to grab onto, and this is furthering the internal destruction of the Hurt Business. And what we saw here was once again one of them. So Shelton getting a sneaky tag in and taking the win. Granted, the result is still good, but it still had that bickering.
Yeah, it really is like a sibling rivalry. So MVP has something there, like it's definitely a sibling rivalry type thing. But I think it's also one of the storylines that's just dragging out so much that it just needs to be brought to an end.
Yeah, so it's that one. It's the hurdle that we have of when we constantly sit here and talk about how we want long-term storytelling. We want it to be long, but we also want it to be engaging. It doesn't have to just be long. And we are. If the story is long and it's repetitive, that's where it loses me. And what we're seeing here is kind of repetitiveness. But I also, if you would ask me, how do I restructure this story, I don't really have an answer for you.
Yeah.
So,
agreed.
Yeah, and that's that hard part as well. Like I can sit here and criticize, but like well, how would you do it? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's move into the more engaging parts of the night. So I think first and foremost, I have to give props. So there was a women's triple threat tag team match for the number one opportunity to take on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for the titles. This consisted of Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Naomi and Lana. Now, initially I was like, why are they throwing Naomi and Lana together? But it made sense once they discussed it. Obviously, both Naomi and Lana were sidelined at the hands of Baszler and Jax. And they've come together as a team to obviously want to get their comeuppance, I guess. I mean, Lana eliminated Nia Jax in the Rumble, for crying out loud. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I get it. Awesome. And Lana did the most amazing, Naomi's slide. Lana nailed it. Yeah. She absolutely slid down that thing. She went further than Naomi does. It was amazing. But yeah, this was just a phenomenal matchup. Like, I was engaged throughout the whole match. Like I said earlier, Charlotte's becoming a lot more agile, and there was a lot going on there for her, which was amazing to watch. Before the match, she is talking to Asuka, and Asuka's obviously very clearly upset about losing the belts at the hands of Charlotte's drama, which Charlotte apologizes, She's very apologetic, but it happens again. And it happens to the point where Charlotte's in the ring fighting. She tags Asuka in and walks out after Lacey and Rick. And Asuka's like, what the hell? And she cops a, what's it called? The rear view or something?
Naomi's butt in the face?
Yeah, Naomi's butt in the face, which Asuka does well. Asuka does as well.
Yeah, it was cool. We had like a butt-on-butt fight with Tony and...
I know.
and Naomi.
Oh.
And then we got to see
All
that
the
here as
butts.
well. All the butts.
Yep, exactly it. Love it. Love the butt fest. But yeah, unfortunately, the champion, Asuka, did get pinned by Naomi, which gives Lana and Naomi the #1 contendership for the tag team titles, which I'm okay with that. I love that. I think it's a really good story of like, I get knocked down, but I get up again.
And once again, it will add that because this is a smart decision. So, kayfabe remover once again. Lana was having such a difficulty coming across as a babyface, right? She wasn't landing. We were supposed to feel sympathy for her and whatnot, but I don't think sympathy is the right angle for Lana. So by having her be connected to Naomi, another pretty prominent babyface, like it's taking a lot of that focus and spreading it across the two of them, right? So Natalya was also linked with Lana, but because they were playing sort of these like pompousy sort of that they go on with the boat stuff, right? They wasn't traditional babyface stuff in terms of, like, they were being sort of smug and arrogant and that sort of stuff. But here I've got nothing but fucking pale babyface out of this. You know what I mean? Like, the two of them are just oozing with niceties. You know, the energy together, they're holding hands, like it's that, and I think that's what's going to be needed to go against Shayna and Nia. Shania Payne.
Shania Payne.
And will they get the win over Shania Payne? I think it's possible, but I don't know what that would tell apart from that moment of yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think having the titles come back off Nia and Shayna opens it up a little bit more to the likes of going to say Mandy or Dana, or like it really opens it up to a more mid demographic as opposed to like your higher females, like, you know, your Charlottes and your Asukas and stuff like that. So I think it'll really open up for the titles again, which is something I want to see because they have sort of hit that stagnant sort of like, meh. So they really need to do something with it. And I think having Naomi and Lana take them opens up the competition a bit better because it doesn't have to be your top people. Like, we know Shayna and Nia are a force to be reckoned with. But, like, I would like to see Mandy and Dana take on...
See, that's the thing. I would much rather prefer Mandy and Dana to get the win, apart from a team that's been slapped together. Like, Mandy and Dana, they were slapped together too, but there has been an extended window of time of them working together. So I'm more open to them, like, getting shots. So I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. You know, like, their gimmicks are in line right now. They're looking like a tag team. There's a lot here, and I like that.
I get where you're coming from, but I understand that. I don't see it as slapped together. I think it's two people with a mutual cause.
Yeah. When
it comes to Lana and Naomi. And that's why, like, initially I was really hesitant about it. And then when commentary obviously mentioned that they were both sidelined at the hands of Shania Payne, I really understood it. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is like a comeback story. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me. And I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see the titles move around a little bit more. Yeah,
and I think that's probably certainly a good idea to have them move around. But before we get away from this match, we have to talk about the Lacey Charlotte stuff. That is continued here once again with a distraction causing the L. For those that may not have seen it, on Raw Talk as well, there was a discussion with Ric Flair and Lacey and Truth and Charlie Caruso, where they were discussing, essentially Ric Flair was given a mic, and in the most coherent thing I've ever heard him fucking say in the time that I've been watching, he explains at its core that it isn't a sexual thing because the storyline is incredibly sexualized unnecessarily. But what he's doing, he's like, Charlotte, as she said, she's learnt more than she's bigger than me now. She's learnt more than I could ever know, than that I could ever teach her, right? So I have all this wrestling knowledge. I have this wrestling skill, talent. I'm one of the best wrestlers to ever do it. And then I'm just going to sit there and waste it? No, I'm going to take on someone who deserves it. We've got Lacey here, an ex-Marine. She knows how to put the hard work in. So I'm going to give her the time. I'm going to give her the energy that my daughter won't take from me.
Yeah, that's fair, obviously, because Charlotte does think she is above Rick.
Yeah.
And Rick's like, I've been doing this for years. I can help you. And obviously Charlotte's not into that. So why not pass your knowledge on to somebody who wants to take it?
Yeah.
That's actually That makes a lot of sense.
I probably have butchered it, but 100%, everyone at home should 100% check out that Raw Talk promo. Now, what I'm seeing more and more is there's a lot of things that are coming out of Talking Smack and Raw Talk that makes me want to take the time and watch it, because there's really good promos in there and there's a lot of extra story building there. But it's one of those things. Why the fuck is Rick not given 2 minutes to say exactly this on the show? Because this adds so much context to the story. It removes one of the biggest issues that we all have. It's like, why is she trying to bang this old dude? That's not the goal.
No. It's definitely just a learning experience on Lacey's behalf, which I think is smart on Lacey's behalf too, because the best way to beat him is to get into their head, and the only way to know what Charlotte's going to do and how she's going to perform in the ring is to learn from her father, because that's where Charlotte's obviously learned it all from. Like, it's smart. It's actually very smart on Lacey's behalf.
I completely agree, and it has changed my perspective. Like, is it really good? No, but like, I'm not finding it the most compelling story. But I now that I understand the motives better,
it makes it more engaging.
I go, I appreciate this.
Yeah, exactly right. Definitely.
What else you got, Jem?
We had another women's match, because this will lead into something else as well. We did see now Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross again, which we saw Nikki Cross come back at the Royal Rumble. Amazing. And thankfully we did see Alexa Bliss get taken out before she could transform in the Royal Rumble, which was good.
I still love that, by the way. All this shit's going down, and, Rippers is like, and just fucking yeets Alexa.
Bye.
Doesn't give her even time to do her bullshit. She's like, no, it's not here. Go away. Do that at Raw.
No thanks. No time for antics. Let's go. So throughout this match, obviously Nikki Cross is like, I'm done with you. We're not friends anymore. What do you want from me?
So obviously Alexa was called this match in.
Yes. So pretty obvious. Alexa's obviously smiling and giggling and stuff like that. Mid-match, she transforms back into the goddess. And she's like, Nikki, it's me. What are you doing? And Nikki's all over it. She's like, I'm not having any of these antics. And she just hammers into her. And then we get playground Alexa Bliss again. It ends up being a loss to Nikki Cross again with a modified Sister Abigail, which was beautiful.
It was very cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool move. I was like, damn, that was real good. Nikki put up a hell of a fight, but ultimately Alexa did get the win.
The Mullet Show does also mention about the potential idea of a storyline between Rhea and Alexa. So I think Rippers, it's certainly possible for her to go down that path, but I don't think that she should be involved with the quote stank of this whole supernatural thing. The only connection that I have is that Rippers is the nightmare. Right? And that's in terms of the bad dream nightmare sort of thing. And that's the only way I can see it sort of tying in. But even then, I would kind of like her to do something different. Even though I would love the idea of small woman versus big woman. Dope.
I think she's got something bigger.
I think there's something else. I don't know what it is yet. And I'm hoping it's getting to Charlotte at Mania. As we discussed.
But, obviously, we see a little bit more from Alexa later in the night, which we'll talk about, because I think these two run into each other. So let's start with what opened the night. It was the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. And he comes out and starts talking about props to everybody who won their matches and whatnot. And just as he mentions the Royal Rumble, Edge just makes his way out. And so, impressively enough, Edge lasted just under an hour. It was 58 minutes and 27 seconds. And Drew McIntyre's like, look, I'm so proud of you. Amazing work. Like, yada, yada, yada. And Edge is like, bro, I'm shocked. Like, I come out here, like, you've got a huge target on your back. I've won the Royal Rumble. Like, why didn't you kick my head off? Instead, you're showering me with compliments and, and Drew McIntyre's like, look, I'm not an opportunist like you are. And he goes, no, you're not me. And that's a problem. Like, you should be opportunistic. You should, be capitalizing on this. He's like, what's wrong with you, dude? And with this, Sheamus comes out, Drew McIntyre's best friend of forever. Sheamus is like, who are you to question him? Like, he has carried this business through unforeseeable circumstances, and you're going to stand here and question them. He's like, Drew might want to take the high road here, but I don't, Edge. And McIntyre sort of like gets Sheamus to back off, and Edge ends up leaving after saying like, it doesn't matter who I choose, I'm walking out of WrestleMania a champion. And he walks away, and with this, Sheamus backs up. Drew McIntyre holds this title up to sort of, I guess, taunt Edge. And as McIntyre turns around, Sheamus drops him with a big old bro kick. And I was like, well, shit. There goes 20-odd years of friendship. So apparently, like, backstage, Charlie asked Sheamus what happened. And he's like, that's all I am. I'm Drew's friend. I'm Drew's friend. I'm Drew's friend. Not anymore. Like, I want that title. And he grabs his bags off Drew Gulak and leaves. And then Charlie's backstage with Drew McIntyre later in the night for an interview, and McIntyre's nearly in tears. Like, I got teary watching him talk about this, and he's like, fine, shame me. Like, shame-o if this is what you want.
Shame dog.
You got it. Yeah. He's just like, you got it. Match is yours if you want it. And this obviously leads into something that I'm looking forward to. It's a battle of the Scots. Well, Scottish and Irish. But still, I honestly think Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre is going to be a phenomenal matchup. Yeah. Knowing each other for so long, they're going to know each other's movesets back to front. They're going to know each other's strengths, their weaknesses.
And they both have big kick finishes, which could be a laugh. Yeah, Battle of the Celts. Yeah, it's probably a good way to look at it, yeah.
The Battle of the Celts, yeah. I'm honestly down for it. They're two big dudes that could beat the hell out of each other, and I think it'd be a good match to lead us, a good little rivalry to lead us into, you know, the likes of WrestleMania and stuff like that, until, you know, a challenger is picked by Edge.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, heartbreaking. I was almost crying because it genuinely looked like Drew McIntyre was about to cry.
Yeah.
You could hear his voice shaking. You could see it in his eyes. So yeah, I'm for it.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm down with it too. I'm certainly open to it. Like, 'cause there was a little bit of build up coming to this when when old Shamo and Keith were getting together and beefing on each other. So nice to because I think Sheamus didn't actually get his shot because I think Big Keith got in the way. So to have Shamo come through and get it now. I like it a lot. There's been enough build up here for it to be something. I like that. Yeah,
definitely on it, Shamo.
I love how we just rename people. By the way.
Oh yeah, Rippers, Shamo.
Big Daddy Randy. Big.
Yeah. Randy Orton.
That's right. Close.
Speaking of the Randy Orton, we did see from him this evening. Obviously, he cuts a promo basically saying like,
we discuss Randy and we lose Jem.
Oh, yeah.
Things happen when you talk about Randy around Jem. As we do know, she quite loves her. Oh, and she's gone. Shit. Hi, bro. Oh, she's back. Hi. Sorry.
There we go.
You talk, your mic's not coming through, but...
Isn't it?
Oh, there it is. Hi. Sorry, we talk about Randy and then everything just freezes and you duck away.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. Yeah. I needed a moment. No, but we did see Randy cut a little promo having a big old chatteroo about how Edge has proven him a liar because he swore that Edge would never come back. He did it, you know, for Edge. He's like, you know, I sent you home to be with your family and be a father and, you know, be a husband. And, you know, I did this for you. Like, how dare you? Now you've made me a liar and I have to rectify that. And I'm going to make sure that there is no WrestleMania moment for you. And Edge cuts back saying like, he's like, how dare you say that you did this for me? He's like, you're just jealous that you're not the man that I am. You're jealous that I could last from bell to bell and you had to call a knee injury and try and come back and beat me later in the night. Like, you'll never be what I am and I'm going to put an end to this. And yeah, we end up having the match of Edge versus Randy Orton. And my God, what a hell of a match.
I really enjoyed it.
It was such a good match. It was really a battle of egos, basically, like one ego against another. And Edge, for the most part, dominated the match. But then when Randy got the upper hand, we see him about to take a big old win. And Alexa Bliss is in the corner. And she starts bleeding from the mouth. And this allows Edge to get
blood
a
or black ooze. It's always black
something.
ooze.
Yeah, but that distraction allows, like, because what happens is at the end of Alexa's match when she wins, she's leaving and Randy Orton comes down while she's making her exit. She stares at him the entire time. He doesn't even look sideways at her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, come back. She's sitting in the corner, like you hear the music play and then, yeah, just ooze from her mouth. And then Edge gets the spears for the 1, 2, 3 and finally puts Randy Orton behind.
See, this match was important because
It was.
as we know, like with Edge and his torn triceps, like there was meant to be a third match, but we never got it. So in order to keep the story going, they needed a match. They needed that closer, and it just happened to be here on Raw. And that, but that
it tied some storylines together, which is good. And it was perfect. It was perfect. It was a perfect way for Edge to separate himself from this whole Randy thing. It was a perfect way for Randy to move on with this whole Alexa Firefly Funhouse thing. Perfect. I'm down for it.
Yeah, no complaints. So not much I can really say because I'm like, yep, yes, give me more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, usually I find with post Rumble like PPVs, like they tend not to be too bad. Post Rumble shows. Like post pay-per-view shows always, like, I think the adrenaline, especially Raw, the adrenaline's still running from the night before. Everybody's on a high, so they're still putting on their best performance. And that's what I love. It's like you always get your best stories coming out of that following episode. You get new stories or you get
especially now because Rumble's always sort of treated as the beginning of a new season.
Yeah, yep, that's true. It's like a new season. It's a change of seasons.
Yeah, so for that reason, I think there's opening a bunch of potential new stories and a bunch of new and exciting ways for it all to go. But it's certainly good stuff.
It was a good show. I was very engaged from start to finish.
Very much so.
Even with the stupid Miz stuff, like, it was sick to see Damon Priest.
I do have to ask Jem.
Yes.
Edge. Which belt is he going for?
Shit. Honestly, I think of the discussion of like how Edge mentored Drew McIntyre and all that sort of stuff. I think that he's headed that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to the belt that I never lost. He never lost the Universal title. He lost the WWE Heavyweight.
Yeah.
And that's why. And that's for that reason alone is why I believe it's going there. And however, my original pitch for the Royal Rumble was that Daniel Bryan would win and it would go to Mania where he would have a career retirement ending match with Roman and Roman would retire him. That could still be done here with Edge.
I think so. I mean, we did see on SmackDown before Rumble, Bryan put out an amazing promo about wanting to win the Rumble again and how he's not sure how long he's got left and, he's not sure how many WrestleManias are left in him. I think that's definitely a very viable way for it to go. So,
either way, let us know what you thought of this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. We'll be back in a week's time to talk SmackDown and Raw. But this wrestling conversation happened on a Thursday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, you can at facebook.com/group/popculturist, as well as our Twitter. Links are in the description below. Come harass us. I live
tweet shit.
Huh? What?
I live tweet wrestling shit.
Yeah, Jem live tweets wrestling shit. I'm there occasionally. Cool. Funsies, right? On top of that, if you want to join the show, if you want to join the chat as it happens, you can head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures where you can watch us record the show live, just like Mad Dog did, just like Puck did, just like Mullet, a bunch of peeps in there coming and joining up. Speaking of, a big thank you to Mullet Show again for his tier 1 sub for the 35th month, as well as Hoodmark for the follow.
Yes.
If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this wrestling pod. If you are listening to us on podcast services, give us a 5-star rating and a written review. Or if you are on the YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support the show financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as the merchandise.popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. Just like that. You may not be able to feel it as well, but just like that. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
And I'm Jem.
And we'll see you then.
Good night.